and welcome into another episode of Red Sea Roundup. I'm your special guest host today, Thaddeus Romansky, and I'm joined by our lovely Director of Youth Sports, Robin Romansky. How you doing this morning?
I'm doing pretty good.
All things considered?
All things considered, yeah.
If you haven't been paying attention to the local news media in the Bryan-College Station area or checking out our social media at Victory Youth Sports or at Red Sea Radio, you may not have known that we had an unfortunate incident over the last weekend. Robin, you want to give a brief rundown to folks who haven't been paying attention to those channels?
Oh, sure. We're sort of right in the height of soccer season here in the Brazos Valley. So in Victory Sports, we've got 3 seasons of competition. The fall has flag football and volleyball, and winter we've got basketball, and now soccer's just wrapping up this spring. We've had quite a wet spring, actually. So we've had to move some games around. We've reconfigured our structure a little bit so that this weekend, instead of just championship games, we've got a championship tournament starting Friday night and rolling into Saturday. But last Friday, we had some makeup games, and we had recently received a trailer and riding mower, a donation, really fantastic, that we were using the trailer sort of like a traveling or portable field house. We don't have a place to store the mower there at St. Thomas Aquinas where we play soccer, but we had the trailer parked just in the parking lot right there at St. Thomas Aquinas in front of the church, and we kept the mower in it. And so our team was out there Friday morning, getting everything set up and trying to decide if we needed to mow the fields. We had, interestingly enough, shop vacked the puddles off the field on Thursday, so that then, in hopes of it being dry enough to mow and then even play Friday. So we ultimately decided we weren't going to get the mowing in, but we wanted to get the fields all set up and field goal boxes spray painted and everything ready for games Friday evening. We finished up at about 11:30, and our intern Connor headed in to go to Mass, and my assistant Anna Park, our coordinator for youth sports, ran to go buy some more fire ant killer and make some copies of the keys for the locks, interestingly enough, of the trailer, so that each of the 3 of us would have our own set of keys for the hitch lock and the 2 padlocks on the door. And while we were gone, within 20 minutes of us leaving, someone stole the trailer right there in broad daylight. They actually drove out of the parking lot at noon from St. Thomas Aquinas. It's on St. Thomas Aquinas's, surveillance video footage. And so we called the police and reported it, and St. Thomas Aquinas was very gracious in providing that material to the police department, but we have not located the thieves. And so now we are out our mower, our PA system, 2 generators, and so much more that we needed for soccer.
Yeah. Black Cadillac Escalade with temporary tags, temporary plates, just drove right into a Catholic church parking lot and hooked up illegally, cruelly, its hitch to our trailer and drove off with it. And if you happen to be in any way catching this broadcast, sir and madam, we would ask you to have a change of heart. We're praying that you would have a change of heart, a crisis of conscience, really, and you'd leave that trailer somewhere that it could be recovered, because you're hurting kids. You're hurting kids.
So yeah, I mean, right now we've got just about 180 kids participating in soccer this season. Games happened Friday night anyway.
Yep.
We didn't
Undeterred.
we didn't have a PA system or the bullhorn that was in the trailer, but we used the one whistle that we had left and called everybody in to start games with a prayer that we always use to, our pregame prayer, and got the games running. We had a little bit of rain right at the end of the first hour of games, but God provided us with a beautiful rainbow as we started the second round on Friday night.
And a beautiful sunset, too.
Yeah, and a beautiful sunset Friday evening. And then by Saturday morning, someone offered a PA system, someone offered a generator. They came out and set that up Saturday morning so that games could run seamlessly like we,
so we
typically
had
run.
a borrowed PA system and a borrowed generator for last weekend, so that we could have last weekend's game successfully and keep on moving. And that's such a great example of one of Victory Sports' pillars, right?
Solidarity.
You have 5 pillars that the experience is kind of built upon, and solidarity is one of them. Why don't you talk a little bit about that idea of solidarity?
Yeah, I mean, I would say at the founding of Victory Sports, coming out of COVID, we were really looking to help support parish life and bring families back together and in community with other families, especially at the parish level. But I mean, it's stretched even beyond that. Now we've got community at the inter-parish level, so among Catholics in our larger Bryan-College Station community. And not just Catholics, all the non-Catholics that are playing in our league too, who have now joined this community of families with children, all about the same age that are in grades 1 through 6, and families that are just trying to pass on virtue and faith instruction to their children. Obviously we're supporting them with the Catholic, faith background and the Catholic faith tradition and virtue from that angle, but we are open. We are here for everyone. And so we've got quite a number of non-Catholic families playing as well. And the community that we get, I think it's especially palpable in soccer. There's something about having 6 different games going on at the same time, out in the same space, and all those people coming together. It's a little different than the feel of basketball and volleyball and football season. I think it's one of my favorite. I don't know anything about soccer, honestly. I mean, I've never played. I know what I've taught myself and researching, but it's one of my favorite for sure.
Yeah. In a word, solidarity, it's an aspect of Catholic social teaching. It's that idea, the way we express it in Victory Sports, because it's kind of a big word. It's not a word that a lot of people use in their common everyday language. But it's that idea of we're all in this together. We all need one another. We all can do for one another. And my goodness, that has been so evident in this episode. That verse from one of the Pauline letters, Catholic, I don't have it memorized, scripture, but I know that St. Paul talks about where evil abounds, grace abounds all the more. And I think that this episode has really demonstrated that. Wouldn't you say?
Oh, definitely. Like I mentioned, Friday night, before the second round of games began, we already had someone lined up who was going to volunteer to mow this week for us because we don't have our mower. We had the PA system offered to lend, us for not just last Saturday, but also this weekend for championship
so we're going to have it for this weekend too.
And the generator.
Already arranged.
So just the way people come together, the children talking about how they want to help. And in fact, I just received an email yesterday. One of the girls that plays on one of the St. Thomas teams, her mom sent an email saying how her daughter is running a lemonade stand to make money to help pay for a new trailer. We've got
oh my gosh,
just so many opportunities and so many illustrations of solidarity and action in this episode. And I think that is how good God is and how he works in our lives, right? That he takes an evil or a misfortune, an unfortunate situation, and brings even more goodness out of it than had it not occurred, it seems.
Yeah, because I think we're going to be a stronger community because we're going through this situation now. We're going through this difficulty, this unfortunate moment. I think that there's probably people that are listening to this either in long form or if they catch a little hit of it and probably want to know how they can help. So could you talk a little bit about what y'all have set up on the website for contributions?
Sure. You can go to the redsearadio.org website or even our victoryyouthsports.org website, both of those. And there is a pop-up banner where you can click to give to help toward recouping the equipment and the purchase of a new trailer for us. And already in less than 24 hours, we have had quite a number of donations already. We're so grateful. If you're listening and you have already given, thank you so, so much. We are so grateful for your generosity and for your contribution. And we promise we will.
Robin showed me some of the receipts of those of you that have already given, and my eyes were very wide. I couldn't believe how much has already been given, and both in total and by the sizable donations that individuals are making to try to recoup the cost of this, the trailer and its contents. Yeah.
It really is a blessing, but I also think,
really moving.
Something that this event confirmed for us is that we're really doing something good. We're doing the right thing. And I shouldn't say we're doing it. We're not doing it. We're just the hands and feet.
We're cooperating.
The Lord is doing it. It's how the Holy Spirit is working through us in this ministry, in this Catholic sports ministry. So if you are listening and piqued by this or interested in what we're doing, I'd love you to visit our website, learn more about Victory Sports, find us on social media. But we really are here to help evangelize the faith, to not only reach children, but to support the domestic church. And we do that by providing opportunities for kids to play sports. And it is a well-planned and researched curriculum. We originally worked with the Diocese of Austin and all the religious education standards that they have, and have put together a curriculum. Much of this is because of Thaddeus, but as a family,
shouldn't have to do that.
We've put together a curriculum that we feel like helps cover those guidelines, but support religious education. And the goal is just to help, provide families opportunities to pass the faith on to their children. There's a statistic that 75%, this is from a 2016 study. I don't think it's gone down since then, but that 75% of American families are playing youth sports. So if that's where families are, we want to be there to meet them. And our goal is not to remain here in Bryan-College Station, meeting just the families of Bryan-College Station, but we are piloting it here so that this can be an opportunity for families across the nation to pass on their Catholic faith to their children, or for the church to meet families who are either not practicing or not Catholic, and welcome them into the beauty of our faith through the beauty of sport. So I was just going to talk a little bit about our curriculum. Is that okay? Or do you have something else you want to ask me?
Before we go to that,
Yes.
I wanted to kind of take a little bit of a detour.
Okay.
And, we're in the recent days after the election of a new pope. We have a new Supreme Pontiff, Leo XIV. He took his name from, partly inspired by Leo XIII, the great progenitor of Catholic social teaching in the late 19th century. He's an American pope, also a Peruvian citizen. He really cares a lot in his personal biography about building bridges, about bringing different cultures and different peoples together, being a missionary, being an evangelist. So I'm going to kind of put you on the spot, and I want you to look into that camera. And if you had an opportunity to tell the Holy Father about what Victory Sports is and what it does, and what you'd want him to know about it, what would you say if you had the Pope's attention for 1 minute to tell him about Victory Sports? What would you say?
Okay. Well, first of all, Pope Leo, I would say, Your Eminence. What do you?
Your Holiness.
Your Holiness. I'm sorry. First of all, let me start over.
Take one. Take two.
Take two. First of all, Pope Leo, Your Holiness, my 16-year-old son was really excited last night when he came in after seeing a clip of you, footage of you from several years ago at a White Sox game. And he just thinks it is so cool that his Pope is featured or was it present at a White Sox game and on camera, and how much it humanizes or makes you relatable to him. So I think we are already in our small family. Well, it's large, but we're just one unit. We're already seeing great fruit of having an American Pope and how that's relatable for our children. And it's only just begun. And thank you. Thanks for your vocation, your answer to God's call for you in your life, because you're making a difference for our 6 children already. And then now, Victory Sports. I would like you to take a moment to find out a little bit more about Victory Sports, but let me tell you what we're doing through Victory Sports and why I think it's something that can bring our church together, not just here in America, but across the world. We have just in our little slice here in Bryan-College Station, children playing from all 4 of our parishes in the Bryan-College Station area. I just Friday night was able to spent quite a long time talking with a family from the mostly Spanish-speaking parish, Santa Teresa here in town. And I'm always moved when I leave after visiting with those families, moved to gratitude for God's goodness that I've had this opportunity to encounter them. If we didn't have Victory Sports, I would not have ever known these individuals, and just how much talking with them lights up my life and brings me joy is beautiful. So I think this is just a small slice of how sports are universal and how sports, like the Catholic Church, universal, bring people together. And combining our faith, our universal faith, with the universality of sport is, I think, an untapped category, and a way that, or section, a slice where we can bring more people to know of Christ's sacrifice on the cross for them and how much he loves each of them, and to just share the joy of the resurrection and God's love for them. So, Pope Leo, I invite you to find out more. Is that good? I don't know. What else should I say?
I think that was beautiful. I was very moved.
Luckily, Thaddeus is my husband, and most of the time I can bounce things off of him. But when he puts me on the spot, I can't ask him first.
I was really excited about the message that you sent to our Holy Father, and I think some way, I've got to believe that some way the Holy Spirit is going to get that message to him. He's going to see it, and he's going to be all the more excited to be our Holy Father. And wow, what an amazing time to be alive, to see the end of one pontificate, the interregnum, the conclave, now the beginning of a new pontificate, and such an unexpected person in that chair of St. Peter. And then to be going through, we're trying to wrap up Victory Sports soccer season and bring it to a successful conclusion. And then we have what feels like a huge obstacle experience. Take up our time and our energy and our focus away from what we feel like it should be on, and yet God is bringing amazing things out of it. So it's really it's a moving time to be alive for me.
Yeah. I mean, while it is a spiritual attack, I'm not really ready to say, like, bring it on. I feel like I'm just going to show you, Satan, that you're not going to get us down. Mm-hmm. Good is still coming out of this.
That's what Connor said on Friday night. He said, hey, this is a sign we're doing something good. We must be making a difference. That's
right. Well, one other thing I would add to your commentary on Pope Leo and our new Pope is that we got to pray the St. Michael prayer with our athletes Friday, and really, talk with them about the election of the new pope. But that reminds me of a story of a non-Catholic family that's been participating in Victory Sports basketball and flag football for the last 2 years, and how the coach of that particular team said that this little boy, he's probably 8 now, and was probably 6 when he started his first football season, but how he told his coach that his favorite saint is Saint Michael, the archangel, and the coach had prayed the Saint Michael prayer with them because of some of the curriculum that we provide the coaches each week. And this little boy says that he has the Saint Michael prayer, and that's the prayer he likes to pray when he has a chance. And here's just this non-Catholic family. The boy wouldn't have been introduced to Saint Michael at all, much less now have this love for Saint Michael and desire to memorize that prayer. So there's just beauty abounds,
Oh yeah. And let's maybe where we should go next is actually just talking about some of the stories and the experiences that we've gotten to see over the last 3 years of this growth in community, this growth in solidarity, this growth in holiness that we're about in Victory Sports. And so, to go back to one of the Santa Teresa families, I was talking with y'all about this young man on Friday night, that we have a boy in our league who started playing the very beginning, and this young guy, he was probably 7 maybe when he started.
That's probably right.
Would come to basketball practice and just have his hoodie pulled way down over his head hung, his shoulders bowed, his sleeves of his hoodie covering his hands, so he couldn't even really participate in basketball. And he would kind of just stand off to the side as we were trying to have practice, and you try to speak to him and you try to draw him in, and he just was so turned in on himself for whatever reason. I don't know much about this young guy's background, if there's family trauma, or if it was a language barrier, or if there was some, educational difficulties. But the transformation that this young man has gone through in the 3 years that he's played in every single season since then. He, last Friday, was just out on the soccer pitch, just tearing it up. I mean, big smile on his face, running all over the place, chasing after the ball.
Head held high. So confident.
Actively involved. I've seen this guy lead after game prayers now. Just a complete transformation. And that, I think, is what the magic of, not magic, or magic figuratively, but that is what we're talking about when we mean solidarity. We're all in this together. We brought him into this fold, and he knows that he has peers who love him, peers who want him around. He knows that he has other adults who are not his family that want him around, that want his best, want his good, want him to grow in holiness, want him to know our Lord. It's amazing.
Right. I think, when I was thinking about it on Friday, watching him play, I think he feels seen. He feels seen by his peers, like you said, by the coaches, the other adults, but mostly he feels seen and secure in his knowledge that God created him and loves him, and that frees him to play with confidence. So it is beautiful.
And then after everything finished up on Friday night, we were talking about how our son, Andrew, was standing there and talking with 2 of the other young guys from Santa Teresa families, and they were just standing there talking and joking around and kicking the ball with one another, and just genuine friendship through sport, genuine brotherhood through sport. And that was beautiful to see too.
Yes, the fruit is just so good.
Talk about one of those families that that in your experience you've had kind of seen an amazing evolution with. You were mentioning some offline.
Sure. Gosh, there's just so many, but I think along those same lines about the transformation of the child, because I think we've got, initially starting Victory Sports, we thought, this is about the kids. We are going to really help the Lord communicate his love to them by providing this opportunity to play sports.
Mm-hmm.
But soon after, even prior to starting the first season, we were already seeing how the curriculum and this community was going to really buoy the parents and help the parents, because our coaches are all volunteer coaches, most of them parents. So we've got parent coaches who are not only teaching the fundamentals of the sport, but also teaching the fundamentals of the faith each week. And we are providing them with the material each week that support that so that they can teach about. In the fall is a virtue, a saint, and a Catholic social teaching. In the winter, a virtue, a saint, and a sacrament. And right now in the spring, this soccer season, the creed with a virtue and a saint. So I think it's easy to see those success stories, and I'd like to talk more about that in a little bit. But for now, there's another little boy, this specifically from the St. Thomas Aquinas parish. His grandfather coaches every single season. And just our second year of coaches meetings, his grandfather, just voiced how huge a difference it has made in his grandson's life, because his grandson, who is in public school, doesn't have friends at school who also go to church with him at St. Thomas Aquinas here.
I think I know who you're talking about.
And how this has made all the difference in him. Now his desire to, because he's a part of the church, the community at his church, because he's a part and belongs to this group of friends he has, his teammates, he's looking forward to going to Mass each Sunday so that he can, before Mass starts, wave at his teammates across the church and meet them outside the doors after church and run around and play and talk about who they're going to beat next week or the next Saturday in their games. And because of the way the league is formed, he's playing with different kids, some different iteration or combination of kids from that parish, each season. They're not on one team to start with the first year and then remain with that team all their years of Victory Sports and all the seasons. Instead, the teams are sorted kind of after a base evaluation on some general skills for the sport, and then try to split up by the coaches on, as equally competitive teams as possible, so that the skill is distributed amongst all the teams from that parish and that division. So he not only has the 5 buddies that he made on that first team, he's got the buddies that he's made on, now let's say 3 years in, he's been on 9 different teams and 9 different iterations of, I don't know, the 50 kids in his age group at St. Thomas Aquinas that have played.
Right.
So just the amount of community he's got, the size now is ever growing. So I think that's a great story that he wouldn't have had by just showing up and going to RE classes or CCD classes. It's beautiful. You want me to go into some of the others, or do you have a specific?
No, I think if you have another one that's locked and loaded, go ahead.
Okay. So then we've got a couple. Let's see. I think I'll tell parish, but I'm trying to, keep the families anonymous.
Yeah.
But we've got another family who has played Victory Sports at St. Joseph's here in Bryan. And this particular family, they are not Catholic. They found us through a neighbor and a friend. And anyhow, last soccer season would have been their second round they started in basketball our first year of Victory Sports. So this is our third year we're just wrapping up the third year of Victory Sports. So they found us in the second year of basketball and then played basketball, soccer, volleyball, basketball, soccer. And because this is a girl. And so the little girl last championship soccer games was playing soccer and on a little team at St. Joe's. And the coach there gave each of the girls as an end of season or postseason gift a rosary. And so here's this little non-Catholic. The parents said that they don't attend, a church, any church here in Bryan-College Station yet. They inquired about our CIA and church times and where they might be able to attend church here at one of our Catholic parishes. But here's the little girl running up to me to show me her rosary and how proud she is of this rosary that she got from her coach. And I'm just like wowed by God's goodness and how, no leap is too big for him, that here, this little girl that didn't know anything about, perhaps she knew about Jesus, but probably not very much, knows what, not only does she know how much God loves her and know about Jesus, but she's now been introduced to this beautiful way that she can meditate on his life and the great lengths that he went out of love for her. So that's a beautiful one. We got another family that's playing at St. Anthony's. They found us on Facebook or somewhere.
I was just going to talk about this exact family.
This is a non-Catholic, non-Christian family who has 2 children, a son and a daughter. They started out mentioning that maybe the husband could help with football, but then unfortunately his father passed away unexpectedly. The little boy's grandpa, but the dad who was going to help coach, his father passed away. And so they weren't able to help with the coaching, but the little boy still played and the girl played volleyball. They kind of got synced up with some of the families at St. Anthony's. And now here we are in soccer season. They've played every season. They played football and volleyball. They played basketball, and now they're playing soccer. And well, at the end of basketball season, I'm noticing that as the coach is praying, the coach of the basketball team that their son is on is praying to begin one of the games. I think it was the second to the last round of games. The dad, the father, who would step in and help some, made the sign of the cross. And I just thought, oh my goodness, like this is, what a wow moment that not only is he helping and involved with his son and interacting in his son's, an integral part of his son's life here, coaching or helping to coach. He's just crossed himself. He's just prayed and asked for the, grace of our triune God in this little small moment here. And then not long after that, the wife contacted Anna, our youth sports coordinator, asking her, saying, the children really want to go to church now with their friends. Can we just show up at church or what do we have to do? So asking about how do they participate in actively in the Catholic community at St. Anthony's. And, Anna was able to talk with them about that, but there's just more and more, so many stories like this of how God is using sport to bring people to him.
Yeah. Now, as we get to the end of our time this morning, we got about 7 minutes left. Some of these stories, they make me think about, Pope Francis, he made inviting people into the Catholic faith, a big part of his pontificate. Pope John Paul II, I believe, talked at length often about it would be witnesses that would spread the Catholic faith in the modern context rather than, say, catechists. It's the witness of Catholics' lives that will transform people. And we've mentioned a number of non-Catholic families participating in Victory Sports this morning. And, none of those people have been forced to be a part of this. None of them have been forced to make the sign of the cross, or it's all been invitation, and it's all been their fellow parents and the teammates of their children, the witness of those people's lives that has drawn them into wanting to know more and wanting to live in harmony or in line with what the faith asks of them. And so it's, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Sometimes it's an interested desire to know more, but I don't know if that particular family has really taken the leap to start attending Mass or finding more about OCIA or anything like that. But we're going to keep providing that witness and providing that invitation to them. And that has just been a beautiful, beautiful fruit of Victory Sports. Now, I think as we wrap up here, Robin, I think there's a third person in our founders group who we haven't talked about this morning. And I think he deserves some mention. And he was also affected by this theft that took place last Friday. Talk a little bit about Paul Rieger.
Yeah. Paul is like I don't know, is penultimate the right word? Like the biggest volunteer possible, right? I mean, he is constantly giving of his time. I mean, prior to the donated lawnmower, Paul was hauling his riding mower out to St. Thomas Aquinas each week, mowing the fields. I mean, he's also a small business owner. Well, a 2-time small business owner. He's got Aggie Land Coffee and the String and Horn Shop here locally, and high school and collegiate referee. I don't know which sports he's still refereeing or umpiring, but he's an official and does those things. He's our head our head official for all of our seasons. Just a guy who's really poured his heart into the children, these young people. I mean, not only does he mow St. Thomas Aquinas, he also mows trails in the dewberry patches so that each Saturday morning when the kids are out there playing soccer, in between their games or while their siblings are playing, they can be out on the trail picking dewberries to eat and take home to make, some great desserts. So he really has a huge heart, and without him, Victory Sports wouldn't exist. I mean, maybe the Holy Spirit could have moved some other people, but it wouldn't have existed in this. He was
integral to
capacity.
It becoming and being what it is.
Absolutely. And one thing that we were just talking about with, some of the good fruits of Victory Sports and what
other than those dewberries?
Yeah, the dewberries and then the
spiritual fruits.
The spiritual fruit. I think is what Paul envisioned, right?
Yeah.
He had years ago put together some altar server basketball tournaments, I think, and he really saw
Joe's.
How much the sport kind of bringing the kids together, how valuable that was. And I think we knew from our own background as coaches the value of virtue instruction and sport, but that's what he was really hoping to see and wanted to help, materialize here in Bryan-College Station. And I think we're at a place where we have this real opportunity to spread it now beyond the borders of Bryan-College Station, and just that invitation to play in a sports league that is both competitive, focused on fundamentals, and also focused on the human formation is what our culture desperately needs. Another fruit of that, spiritual fruit, not dewberries, is also that, dads, statistically, 85% of kids who leave whatever faith tradition they were raised in, they didn't have a father who really embraced and owned his own spiritual life. And so I think with sport, you see dads helping coach, dads being equipped to pass the faith on to their kids, but also their athletes that they're coaching. And the beauty that is coming out of that, I think God is really going to, blow us away with, just how these dads getting involved and what good fruit that's going to bring.
Yeah. So as we come to a close this morning, we want to encourage you again to like this episode if you're watching it on social media, subscribe to the Red Sea Radio YouTube channel, share this episode with one person, so like, share, and subscribe. Go visit victoryyouthsports.org. And if you'd like to make a monetary contribution there to help defray the loss of this trailer and its equipment, you can do that there. And look forward to registering your children or grandchildren for the fall in volleyball for girls and flag football for boys. And
if you're not in the Bryan-College Station area and you want to find out more about bringing Victory Sports to your city or parish, please go to the website and fill out the form there, and I'll be in touch with you about how we can do that, because we are helping, raise children who are running so that they win that imperishable crown that St. Paul talks about.
Yeah, so thanks for watching. Thanks for sitting with us this morning. And you've been listening to another great episode of Red Sea Roundup, brought to you by the Red Sea Apostolate. And I am your guest host, Thaddeus Romansky, signing off. Have a great day and a blessed one.
God bless.